This strange man you see right here in court actually believes he is a cat.
Señor Gil Pérez, basta.
Are we looking at an insane man? Or is he only pretending to be like this to escape punishment for his crimes? Because this same man who's acting so clueless was also convicted of killing his mother and aunt. But he also cared so much about his almost 40 cats that he lived exactly like them inside his own house. He slept, peed and defecated on the same mattresses like a cat. He refused to shower or bathe as if he was afraid of water too, and is believed to have eaten only cat food instead of human food. Night fam, among all of our crime tales, I have never felt this confused about a man. And that's why I'm about to amaze you with the story of Nicolas Gilad Pereg, also known as the Catman. And as you watch this unfold with me, I need your help in deciding, do you think he should be punished or not? Because believe it or not, this very man who couldn't stop meowing in court started as a very intelligent man. His uncle said that Gilad was a real genius. He was an excellent student who finished high school at 16 and even got his college and master's degrees at Israel's top tech institute, making him a qualified electrical engineer at the age of 24. His life was going very well until a tragedy struck him. Gilad lost his grandpa, who served as his father figure all his life, and since that heartbreaking news, things started to change. Because as Gilad dealt with it, he started losing himself. He suffered a mental breakdown that went undiagnosed. He got fined numerous times for antisocial and indecent behavior, and he got addicted to gambling, pushing him into deep debt. At this point, Gilad should have been given a psychological help. Soon, he would move from Israel to Argentina, the place where his future crimes would be committed. But at that time, his neighbors didn't see it yet. In fact, at first, they even thought he was a model. A strange one, though, because Gilad would only ever wear the same outfit every day. He would do other suspicious things too, like asking neighbors if he could install CCTV cameras so he could watch the street. Or get this, changing his name to Floda Reltich, even providing fake passport and documentation to prove it. By the way, do you see it? Floda Reltich is Adolf Hitler spelled backwards. And around this time, the Catman inside Gilad would start showing. His house was a true site of tragedy. No decent furniture, no toilet, no electricity, no water, just piles of items that look like garbage. And then there was also pet food, scattered all around the place, with 37 cats and 4 dogs who were just running around there like it was their territory and Gilad was just living with them. At this point, it's pretty natural to call Gilad mentally unwell, right? But while all of those crazy things were happening, he was also making some calculated moves. He registered 20 businesses under his or his mother's name, which he would use to write suspicious checks. And he even had 46 legally obtained weapons under his possession. So what was this guy really up to? Why did he choose to live like this? Well, whatever the reasons were, none of them would matter once you hear what he supposedly did to his own mother and aunt. It was January 2019. Gilad's mother and aunt traveled all the way from Israel to Argentina to visit him for a day and see how he was doing. One could only imagine how they reacted when they saw how he lived. But since Gilad was so isolated, nobody really knew what happened. All that people knew was that after their visit, Gilad supposedly reported both of them missing.
Para mí alguien lo forzó para hacer algo que ellos no querían.
This pushed the police to launch a search operation for weeks, but everything they traced just brought them back to Gilad. Soon, they found a blood-stained shirt and a bag of cement in his home, and that's where they found everything else. And guys, I hope you're not eating right now. Let me give you a disclaimer that the following words are quite graphic. In 3, 2, 1. Inside Gilad's house, police found the bodies of his mom and aunt hidden under rocks 4 feet below the ground. Their documents and passports were wrapped in a cap, and the autopsy of the bodies showed Gilad's mom died after being strangled with a bow, while his aunt was fatally shot in the chest. But that's not even the end of it, because it appeared both women were also mutilated. One of the bodies had been pierced by an iron bar that entered through the ear and exited through the skull, and the other body had the same injuries but exiting through the thorax and back. There's no way this is a crime of a sane man, which is why at this point I want to ask you a slightly different question. Do you think mentally ill people should be treated differently than other criminals? No! Because when you hear what happens after Gilad was arrested, you wouldn't even know what to think anymore. On one hand, I just want to be so angry with this guy, because after killing his mother and his aunt, he showed no remorse whatsoever. In fact, after his arrest, he told the police, "If you don't let me go home to take care of my cats, you are going to find a body." He cared more about his cats than his family, and his mental health deteriorated so much he started acting like this. As you can see here, Gilad was naked, acting very strange and even growling, hissing and clawing like a real cat. He lost his mind. Around this time, they said he would also refuse to eat normally. He would only request milk and cat food. He would refuse to shower or bathe, and he would just pee or poo on his prison floor. But finally, let's go back to October 26, 2021, when he appeared at the start of his court trial, and the judge had enough of his antics.
Antes del ingreso del jurado, yo le advertí que si usted quería permanecer en la sala, debía hacerlo en silencio, con respeto y con decoro.
Within this trial, Gilad reportedly meowed 55 times, and the judge was so frustrated she ordered him out. That time, Gilad's defense team claimed he was suffering from a medical disorder that makes him believe he's actually an animal. But on November 3rd, 2021, after 2 hours of deliberation and despite his very strange behavior, the 12-person jury found him guilty. He was sentenced to life imprisonment and later on was placed in a mental hospital as he was deemed unsafe even for prison. Now, in case you think that he might have faked this mental disorder in order to escape prison, even inside the mental hospital, when he had nothing to prove anymore, Gilad still refused to bathe. So much so that he developed a severe lice infection and many more health complications. One thing is for certain, Gilad most definitely needed to get help, and unfortunately he didn't receive it. But then, if we started forgiving people just because of their mental illness, what stops sane serial criminals from using that as a convenient alibi? No! 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 Where do we draw the line on compassion for people who truly need help? And where do we stand our ground to protect innocent people?